Brett, tell us about your Overland rig here.
My
Why
rig?
did you get into overlanding? What is it? What model? What year? What's its name?
What's this? Montague.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
Right?
Not very original, right? It's a Mitsubishi Montero, so Montague, Monty. That's what we always named it. It's been a good truck. This is a 2002 Mitsubishi Montero Limited. 6-cylinder truck, powered by a 5-speed with a super select transfer case. It's really cool. You can go from 2 high to 4 high to 4 high center lock to 4 low center lock. It also has a rear locking differential. It's a really, really stout truck. Why did I get this model? I'm really a big Toyota fan, right? I love Land Cruiser, I love 4Runner, but you know, years ago, right before pandemic, it seemed like a lot of these trucks and adventure vehicles were kind of just like spiked up in price, like, you know, right in that time, and through pandemic, they started skyrocketing. And I really wanted like a Land Cruiser. My best friend I grew up with in Queens, he had a Land Cruiser 80 series, and I just thought it was awesome. I just think as far as adventure vehicles, they're super reliable and capable. I thought there was no better choice, right?
Nice.
But I truthfully, I couldn't afford one at the time. They were just very expensive. I couldn't wrap my head around purchasing like a truck, even though they run and you know, it's not anything bad, but you know, a Land Cruiser with 250,000 miles, like $20,000, $15,000. I just couldn't see myself doing that. And then having enough cash to kind of modify it after the fact, it just wasn't in my budget. So I tried to find something that was larger like a Land Cruiser, that had the space, had capability like the Land Cruiser. And I landed on the Mitsubishi Montero, also known as the Pajero or Pajero in other countries. So
Nice.
yeah, and then the cost of entry was super cheap. The truck was like $3,500.
How much was it?
$3,500.
Nice.
Yeah, and it had 100,000 miles or 99,000 miles. When I bought it.
Where'd you pick it up?
Pennsylvania.
Dope.
Yeah, I found it on like Craigslist, which is like probably the last of
That's
those
the best
times.
place to
Yeah,
find
yeah.
it. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was Craigslist. Now, you know, it's a little different. A lot of people are on different sites and things now, but Craigslist is still there, and it worked out.
Nice.
Yeah, and I bought the truck, and it's been great. We traveled all over with it, extensive modifications.
Yeah, can you
And it was
tell us
cool.
about these modifications?
Sure.
While we're in the front of it, tell us everything everything you love about it, and everything that you've done to it up front.
Sure. Well, there's a lot I love about it, right? But as
right.
far as modifications for the front, what you're seeing here, we have an ARB steel front bumper. We have a set of Ironman auxiliary lights. So this is a 9-inch like driving beam, and then you have a couple of 7-inch kind of fog beams down here with a little kind of amber filter on it.
Nice. So
Iron
those
Man.
come off?
These do come off, yeah. You can pop them off.
Whoa, that's
And,
cool.
yeah, they're pretty cool.
Nice.
And they'll actually be the same color up top. So if I want a little more white light on the road, I could do it. If I want to filter out
Dope.
into something, yeah.
So does ARB make this bumper for the Montero?
Yes, yeah. ARB makes this bumper for the Montero, specifically for these years. You could see like these fill-in panels here
Yeah.
that like fit perfectly with the
Dude,
fender.
so clean.
Yeah, it's really clean.
Did the custom shop do this?
Yeah, of course. Truck was 100% built right here at the custom shop. Yeah.
Fire.
Or modified, I should say. I mean, a lot of people use the word build like, you know, they throw it around a lot. And honestly, like when I was growing up, a build is a restoration of a car almost, right? You're tearing shit down, you're pulling the motor out, things like that. That's a build, right? So, I don't know, this is a project, maybe I should say, or I guess a build by today's standards, you know?
Nice. For
But,
those who don't know, what is this?
Oh, it's a winch controller. So this is basically like the brain for the winch. So when you take your controller, you need to plug it into the winch to operate, to pull your truck in. This would be the spot that you would put that controller right here.
Nice.
So that's
And
a
why
winch
would
controller.
people need a winch?
Why would people need a winch? It's a great recovery tool, right? If you're exploring by yourself or you're in an area where you feel like maybe you might get stuck, it's good to be able to self-recover. That's the idea. You don't always have a buddy with a tow strap there, so you could self-recover with your winch. It's also used for other things. I've seen people pull out trees or stumps on their property and things like that. It's pretty cool, but generally it's to pull your truck out, and yeah, that's important. You don't want to get stuck when you're out there. So,
Cool.
Yeah.
So,
What else do we got?
underneath, what did you do anything underneath?
I just kind of have like a full skid plate setup. They're not
Nice.
installed now. We actually took them down so we could change the oil, do some service, bang out some dents on the skid plate,
Nice.
and put it back in. But yeah, we have
Steel
a skid
skid plate?
They're aluminum.
Aluminum.
Steel would probably be better for some of the trails that we're doing now with this truck. We found some stuff that's a little more aggressive. So when you slam a rock, the aluminum does tend to bend. It's been okay. But thinking about it now, maybe steel would have been the better bet. But the aluminum's nice too because it saves a little weight. So it's been doing its thing.
Nice.
You know, not bad. Yeah, man. We got some sliders as well. So I guess that would count as armor, somewhat on the bottom of the vehicle. But
What's your suspensions on here?
Ironman suspension. So this is a independent suspension truck. So front and rear independent suspension.
Yeah, can we take a look?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, she's got just a set of Ironman shocks and springs.
Nice.
Yeah, it may be difficult to see from this angle, but they've been on the truck for probably about 60,000 miles or so.
Cool.
And they've been good. You can probably get a better shot from the rear.
And what are the...
If you check, yeah, right down here. You have a nitro shock with their heavy duty rate spring.
Beautiful.
Yeah, man.
And what are the rims you have on?
Okay.
Tires.
So these wheels are super
about.
cool. This is called an Enkei RPT1. So if you're familiar with Enkei, they are a legendary Japanese wheel manufacturer. They manufacture wheels even for factory Japanese companies, Nissan, you know, whatever it may be. Sometimes their wheels are made by Enkei. But Enkei was famous for one wheel called the RPF1. It was like a track-inspired race wheel that was very popular, you know, on, you know, driver enthusiast kind of cars, whether it be BMWs, more Japanese stuff, Hondas, Mazdas, Miatas, RX-7s, all that. They had fitment for like every sick Japanese car and German stuff. So even the M3s can get the RPF1. So that became like a staple wheel, kind of almost like the work wheels. So what Enkei did was they made something called the RPT1, T standing for truck, where they took their RPF1 like sports car race wheel and made it a 6-lug for trucks. So they actually made fitment for anything 6-lug, which would be like Toyota. I think they have stuff for the Raptor. But basically you just run the Toyota fitment on this truck and you're good to go. So this is an Enkei RPT1, 16x8, 0 offset, wrapped in a BF Goodrich KM3. It is a mud tire. Nice. If I was driving the truck every day, I probably wouldn't have went all-terrain, but I think the mud tire is pretty cool if it's just something I'm using for the trails. So nice. Yeah, it's about a 33.5, so just under a 34 the tires.
Awesome.
I ran a skinny. We started out with a 305 70/16, which was just about a 33, so it was a big old fat wide tire. It was nice. And then we wore those tires down and I said, you know what? Let's try a different size. So we went 255 85/16, which is way different, but a lot thinner. So if you've ever seen like the old school like Defenders and things like that, they always run like a skinny tire. So this would be that size. So I went with the skinny tire and I think I prefer the skinny tire style.
Nice.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, dude.
What's the rock sliders you have on here?
Rock sliders. There's a company called Rocky Road Outfitters. I
Nice.
believe. Yeah.
And where is it mounted?
It's mounted to the frame.
To the frame?
Yeah. So just like
Nice.
you know, other true rock sliders, not welded or anything, but it is mounted to the frame, so it can take a hit. A couple little spots under there where we've dragged them and stuff, but they've always been okay. It's pretty solid.
So why do people need rock sliders?
Why do people need rock sliders?
Why do you need rock sliders?
Rock sliders, you got to think of it as another form of protection or armor, right? So maybe when you're going over some rock beds or anything like that, you have protection to your rocker panels and to your bodywork.
Nice.
Also, people use them in certain situations as like a pivot point. Maybe for the more aggressive, like extreme rock crawlers, sometimes you're jammed up against the rock and you can actually use the drivetrain to like pivot around that. Can't say I've done that, but you know, it's definitely helped out in that manner. Not much of a step though. Sometimes they do make stuff that's a slider step where it does what a slider does, but it kicks out a little bit so you can step up into the vehicle. But this is just a true slider. There's not much here to step on, but it's doing its job. That's not bad.
Cool.
Definitely recommend if you're gonna do anything that would be high clearance with any kind of rocks and stuff, get yourself a set of sliders. Super important. Definitely.
All right, now let's share what you have going on over here.
Up on the roof.
Up on the roof.
Up on the roof. All right, what do we got? We have so as far as a roof rack, I'm running a Front Runner Slimline 2 roof rack. So this is a roof rack specifically made for the Mitsubishi Montero. It mounts to the original mounting points when you take out the factory rails.
Nice.
A couple things bolted onto this roof rack. I have a Go Mammoth Bison rooftop tent. So this is a rooftop tent that kind of like folds out. And when it folds in and it's closed up, it's pretty compact on the roof. The reason I wanted that is because sometimes if you do, you know, you see people with these other rooftop tents that kind of like open straight up, and they're nice, but they leave such a big footprint.
Yeah.
So you kind of take up the whole real estate on the roof rack, and I wanted a little extra room for other things. So I have some water set up here. I have like just a storage container, and then I have some Rotapacks up there for some extra fuel. The water container and the black box are just tied up there with some ratchet straps right now, just for my last trip, nice and quick. But I've since got a couple brackets to hold that stuff down clean, and I don't have to run the straps. So
Nice.
yeah, that's why it's here. It's getting a bunch of service and work for the new season, and we're excited to get out there.
Yeah,
thanks,
so tell us about the solar panel and the snorkel.
Yeah, no problem, dude. So we have a snorkel right here. It's a true snorkel. It's plumbed right into the airbox.
Why do you have a snorkel?
A lot of times we're on a lot of these trips, there's some pretty heavy water crossings. New Hampshire, Vermont, Virginia. Last year we actually took the truck all the way out west, super far out to Vancouver Island.
Yeah.
And there was actually some cool spots where you have to go through some rivers and cross. So it's very important. Remember, you know, every motor, internal combustion motor, needs to induct some air. So there's going to be a point of entry that air is going to get into your motor. And normally, a normal vehicle, sometimes those are, you know, situated inside the grill or whatever it may be. But if you ever take your truck into some water that might get that high, you don't want to run the risk of pulling that water into your motor. So basically what this does, it's a snorkel. You're entering, the air is entering higher up out of the water line, and you're safe. Works exactly like a snorkel if you're snorkeling yourself, right? So you can kind of submerge yourself underwater, and your breathing point is up higher.
Snorkeling in the water. Nice,
so
bro.
that's the idea. Yeah.
And so why do you have a solar panel?
A solar panel. So the truck is equipped with a dual battery setup. So 2 Odyssey batteries.
Yeah.
The primary battery is there for primary car battery things, starting your car, your dome light, your radio, all that normal stuff. But the second battery is there for auxiliary power. It's kind of like having a backup power bank that's kind of integrated into the car. So the idea is when the vehicle is off and you're running things like a refrigerator or lights around your campsite, or if you want to charge your drone or the sick Osmo 3 you got going on here, you can do that all off the second battery. So this way, once you got to leave the campsite and you want to get out of there, you start your car, your primary battery fires up, and you're good to go.
Nice.
Now the solar panel, what that does is while the car is sitting, it just absorbs power and it constantly charges the primary and secondary batteries. Nice. So that's the idea. I don't use the truck very much for daily driving. It's kind of retired more for just like adventure stuff and fun stuff. And, you know, sometimes it'll sit for a while, maybe a week or 2, 3 weeks on end, not driving it. So it's nice to keep the batteries healthy, and the solar panel helps me do that.
Nice. Yeah. Can you show us underneath your hood, please?
Sure, man. It's not amazing, but yeah. It's old. And I'll show you some interior stuff too.
Yes, we'd love to see what's inside.
No problem, man. Yeah, right here is just a couple of switches. So you have switches that turn on like the camping lights here on the side.
Yeah, what kind of lights are these?
So those are rigid scene lights. You actually mount them on a flat wall, and they angle down about 65 degrees, so you actually get light like down here on the campsite.
Beautiful.
It's cool. So when the awning's open, it kind of illuminates under the awning. So
nice.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, so that runs off the second battery. So right now that's pulling off the second battery. Car's not running, car's not on, but that won't juice from the first, it'll pull from the second. Right?
Nice.
Then you got some other switches for the other lights I showed you in the front. That's pretty much it. The cabin's super clean. I don't have like gauges everywhere and tablets and shit. I think that looks cool, but I think that's a lot of it's a little more at home in like a more modern truck. This is pretty old, you know, 20-something years old, so I wanted to keep it a little more period correct, a little more simple. And yeah, we just have kind of a classic interior, you know, nice setup, CarPlay radio, and that's really about it. A little tilt meter over here, so when we're parked up at the campsite, we know like our flat ground, because you don't want to be parked angled and you're rolling around your rooftop tent, you know. So,
nice.
Yeah. So let's pop the hood.
What's your power system in here?
Like what powers the dual batteries?
Yeah.
Like that whole management system? It's Red Arc.
Nice.
Yeah, so Red Arc
where
has
do you have it?
Right under the hood.
Nice.
Very simple setup. I didn't get like their whole crazy electronic management system. Just, you know, a simple BC-DC, but
sick.
Yeah, that's all you got here. Again, real trucks are dirty, so
yes, bro.
Sorry
it's
for
used.
the appearance. But yeah, so here's my primary battery. The second battery is positioned under there.
Nice.
You have your solar wiring, you have your relay to split, and this is actually the Red Arc right here.
Beautiful.
So this brain is basically the isolator that does all the work for both batteries.
Nice.
Yeah, and everything under the hood's factory. The motor was rebuilt at 100,000 miles.
Whoa.
It's got 170,000 now, so I guess the motor has about 70,000 miles. Yeah, and that was it, man. I mean, the motor's been good. Transmission's good. Transmission's original, never built, never replaced.
Whoa.
The transfer case,
Mitsubishi.
original, never rebuilt, never replaced. Runs great. Differential's the same. It was just the motor. When we bought the car, one of the hoses that went to the oil cooler split actually while I was on the highway.
Damn.
And I didn't know. I'm just cruising, right? And then like I pull off the highway and I get to the first red light here on 31st Street in Astoria, and I hear the motor ticking. And I'm like, oh shit, you know, what's that? And I pull over and I realized that the motor had been losing oil the past maybe mile or so of driving. And it ran and stuff, but there was some damage there, you can tell. So we had the motor rebuilt, and she's been real strong ever since.
Nice.
It was real unfortunate. You know, if that hose, I caught that, or that didn't happen, I probably would have still been on the original build. But it's also nice to know that it kind of got like a new lease on life, you know? So pretty sick. And it's been running well ever since, so I trust it, you know? You have someone rebuild your motor, sometimes it's tough. You don't really know, like, you know, but she's been good. She's taken me all around, and she's been good. But yeah, stock motor, stock everything under here, just some electronics.
Awesome.
That's all you got going on. Yeah.
Looking good, bro.
Couple cool facts. We do run 1540 Shell Rotella.
What's that?
Which is like a diesel oil. You know, it's not really traditional, I would say like motor oil. I mean, it is motor oil, but, you know, it's a different viscosity. We ran that when we first rebuilt it, because we built it and then took it out to Colorado and Utah. And it was going to be running for like 15 hours a day, 16 hours a day, you know. And we wanted something that could take, you know, that kind of abuse. So it's very popular to run that oil in like diesel trucks.
Whoa.
So this way, you know, it can run. And we also use a water wetter for the coolant. So water wetter, I know it sounds funky, but it's an additive for the coolant that allows it to stay at like even lower temps.
Nice.
You know, so
that is awesome.
It's always worked out well. 70,000 miles it's been on 1540.
Dude.
And water wetter coolant, yeah. So
nice.
Yeah.
Can you share with us what do you have going on in your trunk?
of course, my brother.
Oh, also,
Yeah.
I forgot to ask.
Yeah. So this is like a really trick little stealth spot to put the antenna for my
Yeah, I've never
Midland,
seen that before.
Yeah, handheld. So yeah, we
Super
just
cool.
have a radio in the car, GMRS style radio.
Nice.
And yeah, that's just a good mount, I think, for the
Super
antenna.
clean.
Yeah, factory. Like when you get this bumper,
Yeah.
they give you a bull bar that like the bar would come from here up over and then go right back there.
Right, you
But I
removed
didn't-
that?
Yeah, I didn't really like it with the bar. Also,
Yeah,
I
it
didn't
looks
think the
clean.
larger lights really fit in there cleanly.
Yeah.
So I just didn't feature the bar, and we just used that spot as a spot to hold the antenna.
Dude, nice.
Yeah, I thought it was
All
clean.
right.
Thanks, man. Yeah, check it out.
All right, so tell us about the gear you have in here and why you
problem.
have it.
Yeah, no problem, dude. I mean, again, the idea behind this build was to kind of have everything you need, but not over-engineer it, right? Like, I didn't have to have a crazy, you know, refrigerator that had a freezer, I should say, dual zone, just simple stuff, right? Old truck.
So what
keep it
freezer are
down.
you using?
So I'm using
fridge
I'm
using?
using an Ironman fridge on an Ironman slider.
Nice.
So this pulls straight out. Yeah, man, and get to everything I need to get to.
Cool.
Some of these sliders are actually dropped down, which is nice, but I'm tall enough to kind of like see in there, so I'm cool.
Clean, bro.
Yeah, save myself a couple bucks and.
Where do you have
know,
this
just get the
plugged
normal
into?
one. So this one, it'll have a cable that comes out the back,
Uh-huh.
and I'll show you. There's outlets here. So this is kind of like a little custom-made like board.
Custom shop made?
Yeah, we built this. So, I
Nice.
mean, there's an originally there's a door here, right, of course. Like you see the opening for it.
Right.
But we built all this into this panel.
Nice.
So this way, this all runs off the second battery. So you could do your USBs here if you got to charge any drones or cameras, straight up 12 volt inputs. So this way I
Nice.
can just run the refrigerator off here. There's also a meter here, percentage for my second battery. You'll kind of see these numbers going up a little bit because the sun just popped out. So you'll see these kind of start to climb or whatever it may be. They fluctuate. You have two setups here. So one gives me light inside right here, just so I can, you know, see what I'm doing. And the other one is for the lights on the outside of the vehicle.
Oh, sick.
So this way, if I'm in the campsite, I don't have to run to the front to
Right.
turn on the camping lights as well. I turn them on right here.
Beautiful.
Yeah, pretty cool. And then you have a switch right here for a small air compressor. I want to get a dual air compressor. This is for my old car. I had a way smaller car back in the day, so this is great for that. But again, it works, and I don't have such a big tire, so it works out okay.
Nice.
Yeah, normally this is stuffed inside here, and there's a cover. The cover broke. I have a new one I got to install. But this
What
allows
is that?
me. That's an input for a. Where is it? Might be down there for a power inverter.
Oh.
So if I have to run any kind of like 110 like household stuff, I can
Nice.
do that.
And
there, let's see.
I'm
Yeah,
curious.
somewhere under there.
I'm curious about this this Molly panel and this whole system. What is this?
So these are pretty popular. This is a Molly panel, I think, by Luso Overland.
Okay.
You'll see a lot of this for the GXs and the Forerunners also. So you basically have Molly panels that cover the inner windows and then give you a shelf system across the top. And I just keep sleeping bag stuff here, a cot, pillow. You know. Thanks for anybody who's joining me. I have like a couple extra little things for passengers and shit, you know.
Nice. And
pretty cool.
And what do you have mounted on?
I just have stuff kind of thrown about, but fire extinguisher, med kit, machete to cut some wood, small pocket knife, or knife like that. Usually over here I don't have it mounted, but I have the air down kit. I have a hose and my air gauge right here too. So basically the walls are kind of the stuff that you're gonna grab quick. You know, when you pull up the campsite, you want to start a fire, so I'm gonna need my machete. If I get hurt, God forbid, and I need to access some kind of med kit, it's right there. If there's a fire and electrical, something goes on, boom, I can grab it right there.
Nice.
And then same thing for airing down and airing up. You know, you're gonna use your hose and your gauge a lot when you're doing these kind of trips, so you want to be able to grab it nice and efficiently right here and not have to dig for stuff, you know.
Nice.
Also, if you think about it, if the truck's ever bogged down in water and it's kind of flooded or anything like that, these things are higher and you can still access them and you're not kind of going under there.
That's a great piece of advice there.
Thanks, man.
What do you have going on over there?
Oh man, these are just some extra fluids when you have an old truck like this and you do the amount of distance I do.
Yeah, what
gotta
is
have some extra
what
fluids. This is just diff fluid right here.
Diff fluid?
It's always nice to get diff fluid in kind of one of these bags because you don't know how like your fill, drain or fill plug is going to be, right? Some fill plugs are up top at a weird angle and you're going to need some kind of pump to pump them in. So having a bag like this, you can kind of get in there in an emergency, just get that fluid in there, which is cool.
Nice.
Funnel,
Funnels.
I have, funnels, all different sizes.
Nice.
Yeah, just little things like that.
Coolant?
The 1540. Yeah, I have some coolant here. Oh, hello, custom shop. I want to know about the Montero. Spam, I know that number. Yeah, just some extra coolant.
Nice.
And just some extra oil, 1540 Rotella.
Nice.
Yeah, man, that's all.
Awesome.
Again, this truck recently not recently, maybe about 2 months ago, we did our annual New Hampshire trip. It's from the border of Canada in like Pittsburgh, New Hampshire. And then we come all the way down to almost like the southern terminus in New Hampshire, almost all off-road. So like the truck was just packed full of shit. I put the jump seat in the second row. I had a friend come with us. So we had 2 people in here, 1 camera guy. One of my buddies was here, and we just ran 3 people in the truck. And so it was a little messy, but it got the job done.
Beautiful, bro.
It was cool. Yeah, man. Thanks, bro.
Anything else you want to share about the truck that we didn't touch on?
Anything that I want to share about the truck? Performance-wise, I don't think we talked about the differentials. So it does have a re-gear.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's cool because of the larger tire and the weight of the truck. You want to kind of re-gear those diffs and improve
What does that do?
The gear ratio. Well, basically, it's kind of like you're replacing like your ring and pinion in the vehicle, which is kind of like, think about like a bicycle when you have your sprocket, right? Or if you have like a mountain bike, let's say, that has multiple gears, and you see that that sprocket or those gears kind of step down, like the cassette, I think it's called, right? Not too much of a bike guy, but I think I'm doing all right here, right? And basically, each one of those sprockets is kind of a different ratio, right? As you change gears, you can increase speed or decrease speed, and you want to choose the right ratio for the speed that you're going, right? So in a vehicle, you're set with 1 gear ratio, and when you change to tires that are larger diameter, when you add all this weight, the ratio doesn't really match up to the diameter of the tire and the weight that you're pulling of the vehicle anymore. So what you do is you change those gears out to gears that are up to the task, and you get that low range torque back, you get the ability to pull the weight of the vehicle more efficiently, and you're basically kind of getting back how it felt factory with all the modifications. Kind of one of the most simple ways I can explain it. So it's very popular for people to do that. Problem is with the Mitsubishi trucks, there's not too much aftermarket that you can just go out and buy a cool set of gears that you would in a Toyota or a Ford or something, right? So what you do is you source the gears from a different version Montero. There's another version Montero that looks just like this, called an XLS.
Yeah.
This is a limited model. It comes with the leather, the 5-speed transmission, all that. But they do make a base model, same body style, cloth seats and all that, but it has a different gear set. And you actually take those gears from a donor truck and swap them into the limited, and you get a higher gear ratio. So you see all these guys with Toyotas and stuff running like 488s and things like that. So this has like a 490 gearing in it. So yeah, it really helped out once we put all the weight in the larger tires. And it's cool because it's using factory parts, so it's kind of like an OEM plus setup.
Nice.
This truck also doesn't come with a locking differential in the rear in the US. They come that way across seas, but we added it. There's a company named Eaton, also known as Harrop in Australia. We added that rear locking diff, so you have a center and rear locker in this truck.
Beautiful.
Yeah, man. And what can I say? I can say that it has been an absolute pleasure to drive this thing, man. It has been so much fun. It's a weird truck. It's cool on the trail. You don't see them, so when people see it on the trail, wow, what's that? You know, it has that real cool, like older JDM aesthetic. So you can hang with the Land Cruisers, hang with the old school stuff, but you're still a little different, you know.
Yes.
And it's the pedigree of driving something that's rally inspired, which I really, really love. For all those of you who don't know, the Pajero or Montero is one of the most winning platforms in the Dakar history, which is super cool. And you know, in the States, we got 3 versions. Across the world, there's 4 versions of the Montero, but the 3rd and 4th gen are basically the same. It just went through like a little bit of a facelift. And it's cool because you saw the progression. The original was a solid axle front and rear. The 2nd gen Pajero Monteros were independent front, solid rear like the Toyotas. And the 3rd generations were independent front and rear. So you saw them kind of progress and change suspension through the years. And this truck, I think, won 01 to 05 or something like that all those years. Not this exact one. They have a 2-door version, but same motor and same bones. So I'm happy to drive something that has a lot of pedigree, has a lot of history in the lineage of the car, like they all do, right? But you don't know so much about the Montero so much. So once you start realizing, like, oh shit, you know, and we used it in the States as like a soccer mom truck, and that was really it. And to realize the potential of what it can do, and the price of entry is like, you know, it's awesome. So
highly
keep down
capable.
The low.
Yeah, highly capable, inexpensive,
right? And
reliable.
And again, it might not have like as much ground clearance as, let's say, a super lifted Toyota, or it doesn't have the solid axle. I get it, but it's gone everywhere everybody else has gone that we've rocked with, right? And I know my limits, right? I'm not crawling stuff that, you know, some of these other trucks, live axle stuff or solid axle stuff could do with the bigger tires, but it does work. And the nice thing is, on the road, it handles phenomenally. It's super comfortable. And it's an all-around, just really good adventure machine. Nice. On-road, it's phenomenal. Again, off-road, it's comfortable with the independent suspension. It's just a really cool platform.
Nice.
It's a really fucking cool platform.
Dude, it looks so good.
Thanks, man. It's
nice
pretty cool.
work.
She's a little beat up. I appreciate it. But it's here at the custom shop for its maybe annual or biannual, you know, makeover. So right now we just did timing belt water pump. We hit about 70,000 miles, so we did some preemptive maintenance. We did some brakes all around, 2 wheel bearings, and now we just got to do some body work. I have a couple of bumps and bruises around. I can show you guys from all different parts of the world and the country. So my Mitsubishi emblem fell off over here, sadly, but I got a nice shiner on the trunk. This, we backed up into, I don't know, split log in Utah. It was sticking up. It wasn't above the rear window, so I couldn't see it. It was like this. We backed up into a piece of wood, big old log. Over here on the left, we slid into a tree in New Hampshire. We tried to take the dent out, did a little, like, you know, touch-up paint, so it looks a little better, but there's a little shiner over here. Over here is Virginia. This is from Virginia. We were crawling over some rocks and stuff, and there was like I think a piece of wood, and got wrapped up, and somehow it got looped around and hit the side of the car, so we're gonna just fix that on the fender.
Nice.
You know, stuff like that. Give it a good polish, change the stickers. This one looks good, but the other side, the sticker's a little tarnished. But just get it ready, man. Just get it ready for the new season.
Thank you so much for sharing
dude, my pleasure. Thanks for having
build
me.
And
thank you for thank you for having interest.
Yeah, we'll link all the custom shop's information in the description below. And thank you so much.
No problem, dude. You got it.
And you guys know where to find Brett.
That's it, man. Custom shop, New York City, Queens, New York.
Let's go.